sweet sounds of victory and triumph. What a way to open up your home stand with a victory over Wisconsin Eau Claire 25-7. Coach, tell us the feeling you had after that game.
Look at the smiles on those guys' faces and mine too. I mean, a week full of prep and to come out with a victory like that after, our Jamestown game where we just didn't feel very good about that outcome and the way we played in all three phases. And you give credit to my staff and our players for, kind of getting back to the grindstone and had a great week of practice and to see those faces, that means the world. I mean, that's awesome. That's such a great tradition of ours. We started that when we moved into the new locker room. And in fact, one of my assistant coaches, Brian Mistral, said, we need to sing our school song and make that a tradition. Well, we do that now. So after every win, we go to our student section, we go to the band, we sing the school song, and then we run into the locker room. And most people don't see this, and it was kind of dark, and you could kind of see the light, but we have a C on the floor, okay? And we barricade that C during the week. Nobody walks on the C, nobody touches the C. We have a light that shines over the C, and that never turns off, okay? So on a win, we move the standards off, and everybody kind of huddles in on that C. We turn the lights off in the locker room so the light shines above us, and we sing the school song, and it gives me chills to this day still every time we win and we go through that.
It's pretty neat for you to allow me to be in for that. I really appreciated that. That was awesome to see.
Norm, we're happy to have you there. That everybody needs to see that, and we were really happy.
Good. Let's start by taking a look at some of the first half highlights. The Cobbers really jumped out quickly on Wisconsin Eau Claire.
Yeah, we did. This is something that we talked about all week. We need to have a fast start, and what you're seeing right now is our KO coverage. Got a great kick from Eddie Clifton. Missed a tackle there. We talked about that last night in our meetings, but you know what? We're surrounding the football. We had a lot of enthusiasm. There was a lot of life within our team. We wanted to come out and show a different face. Our defense was fantastic pretty much all day long. And we're swarming to the ball, making plays. It was great to see. There's a Gunnar Coleman, a little pressure there, a little slip screen. We came off of it nice and made a great play. Alex Berg right there making the play.
He made plays all day.
He is very, very athletic. A little smaller than his older brother, but they're both very athletic. Great option play, first play from scrimmage for us. We get 39 yards. Just a huge lift of confidence for our football team. And there's Chad Johnson off of just a little power play into the end zone. And look at the love our guys are showing, and they're excited about being in the end zone. That was like 4 plays and in less than a minute. Another little screen off to the side, played pretty well by Brady Drake. Comes a little speed option, really athletic quarterback. We knew that. He's a kid who transferred to Eau Claire 2 years ago from Duluth, and very athletic. He likes to run the football. Our guys did a great job all day corralling the run. At no point did they ever have one big rush on us. And in our system, if you have a rush over 12 yards, that's a big play, and they didn't get any. Here's a little full toss to Dane Ringquist. Dane, a kid out of Fergus Falls, who didn't play for us last year. His freshman year, he played both football and wrestling. Last year, he decided to put all his eggs into wrestling. Missed football so much, came out for spring ball. Had a huge day for us, over 100 yards rushing. There's Jason Montoni on a toss play. If we can see the end zone on this, you're going to see some really good blocking by our left side of the line. Not sure if we'll see it at all, but we got two varsity guys played a lot of football for us, and Josh Berg and John Asprey, and they really pull nicely. We had some leakage within our punt team, and this is a line drive. They're probably the biggest return of the day. I think it was about 23 yards, something we talked about. They were scheming up and shooting 2 guys in 1 gap, and it's good because we'll figure that out, and you always can learn in these games, and we certainly not near where we want to be yet, but we're getting there.
Now, what we're looking at right there was a 4th and 1. You guys came up with a huge stop.
Huge defensive stop, okay? So all of a sudden, it's 12-0 at the time. They had a little momentum starting to go their way. We were bending, but we didn't break, and that was a huge 4th down stop. we get the ball back and we go right back down the field and do what we do best. We want to get that running game established.
Now this is the first play of the second half,
Yep.
second quarter, excuse me.
Second quarter, and this is just a little triple option play, and we just got great blocking up front. Dane got razzed pretty hard last night for falling at the inch line and not getting into the end zone. It's funny, we were watching film last night, and we all start hearing everybody sniffing, and it's smell that end zone, buddy. So Chad gets into the end zone again, and look at the love shown by everybody, all 11 guys getting to the football. It was a great first half.
That was definitely going into the locker room 19-0. I know you had to feel good. What was the message you gave the guys going into the second half?
You know what we do is when we get in the locker room, we go both sides of the ball, and our staff did an amazing job all week in their prep, and it's just continue to keep building on what we were doing the first half. You know, everything was, offensively was working the way we wanted it to work. We just tweaked a few things, and defensively the same. So, when it's not broke, why fix it? Just go out and continue to play hard for 30 minutes, and that's what our kids did.
When we come back, we'll have a look at those second half highlights. Coach, we still have 30 minutes of football. What was the message you gave the guys in the locker room?
Well, exactly that. There's still 30 minutes. You got to put the first half behind us and continue to keep doing what brought us to this point. And we got the ball to start out with. We had a few first downs, and we kind of stubbed our toe a little bit, and it was kind of back and forth during that third quarter. Defensively, we were still doing what we needed to do, and then all of a sudden, I think we busted out on about an 11-play drive and capped it off to put us up 25-0, and got us a little more breathing room. In college football, anything can happen, obviously, but I was pleased to see us get that next score and get into that 20 range, but. We came out and played hard. Here's a little fetch pass out to Matt Conley, well blocked. Does a nice job. Picks up probably about 11, 12 yards for us. This is part of our game that we're continuing to keep improving on and need to get better at is our passing attack. And here's another toss play. Look at the cutting that's going on. Austin Monum, our transfer from Morehead State, his first touchdown since he was back in his 9-man playing days down in Clinton, Graceville, Minnesota. So he was loving it. Now here's a guy, look how excited he is, man. It's the first time he's been in the end zone, but getting some love from his Hoggies that did a nice job at blocking for him. Here we get a sack, and he was ruled down. Gunnar Coleman wrapping up his leg and putting him down. We get a little bit of pressure and a little slip screen that they had, and there are linebackers meeting him with a heavy blow.
It's a big hit by Alex Berg. He had quite a few of those.
He had quite
Saturday.
a few of them, and he ended up getting a rag on one, which was unjustifiably right. So it shouldn't have happened. But he is a good football player. Here we were, we weren't in a deep third situation, and number 2, probably one of their better receivers, got over the top of us. And we were a little disappointed in how we finished this game. Obviously you'd like to get a goose egg when you can get them. It's hard, they're hard to come by. But offensively too, when our seconds, our 2s and our 3s were able to get in the game, we didn't execute at a very good level, and that's something that we need to improve on. And so we still try to find that 60-minute football game of playing for the full 60, and we weren't quite there this week. But I know what's sweet is seeing that and seeing our guys happy, and because I'll tell you what, it's doggone tough to get W's, and when you get a W, you got to savor those victories, and we certainly 24 ruled it, and now we're on to Bethel.
When we return, we'll have senior offensive tackle Josh Berg. We're now joined by senior captain and offensive lineman Josh Berg. Josh, tell us a little bit about yourself. Like, where you're from, where'd you go to high school?
I'm actually from Moorhead, Minnesota, but I went to school across the river at Fargo-Shanley, a private Catholic school.
That's a pretty good football tradition they have over there. Were you a part of a few state championships?
Yeah, I actually won 3 state championships in high school, my freshman year, my sophomore year, and my senior year. So, I mean, you can never forget those days. I mean, that's some of the greatest feelings in the world, winning those state championships.
Gotcha. Why Concordia?
Yeah, it's really weird. I mean, for me, it was all based out of gut feeling. I mean, I visited multiple schools, but kind of, even with talking with Coach Rand during the recruiting process, he kind of reminded me that you'll just get that gut feeling that, you know, what feels right and where feels right. And Concordia, I mean, I definitely got that feeling when I came here. Ever since I stepped foot on campus, you know, it just felt right for me.
You've paid your dues, man. Your senior year, you're a captain. You know what's some of the methods you use in motivating and kind of leading the younger troops?
I mean, I really try and lead by example. I mean, and with my play on the field, I mean, I'm not the most vocal guy out there. I mean, we have other captains who like to talk a lot and do that, but I just try and lead with my play on Saturdays, with my mentality, my focus, and all that, just getting prepared for the game.
Typical offensive line.
Yeah.
What's the academic life like here at Concordia?
I mean, it's definitely a change from high school, and it's a lot more of a challenge. I mean, you definitely have to find that balance with football and school, and put in a lot more time and effort here in the classroom. But I mean, it'll all pay off in the end with the degree you get graduating from Concordia.
And what will that degree be in, and what would you like to do with it?
I am a business major with a concentration in organizational leadership. So I mean, as of right now, I'm kind of don't really know where I want to go with that, but I'm really interested in the business field. I kind of really like marketing. It's interesting to me, and my own personal goal is one day to actually own my own company.
Let's talk just a little bit about Saturday. It had to feel good to get in that win column.
Oh, definitely. I mean, especially after coming off that tough loss last week against Jamestown. I mean, we talked about in our pregame chapel, I mean, wins taste so much better after adversity, and losing last week, we really just had a bad taste in our mouth, and coming out on Saturday and getting that win was an awesome feeling.
If I'm not mistaken, you guys had 2 running backs to go over the 100-yard mark or come close to it. Mm-hmm. How does that feel as an offensive lineman to not have only 1 but 2 guys hit that century mark?
Yeah, it's a really great feeling. I mean, as an O-lineman, you don't really get all the glory per se on the paper or in the news. I mean, you're not the one scoring touchdowns, but seeing guys like Dane and Jason getting all these yards piling up, knowing that you're the one blocking for him, it's a great feeling.
Thank you. Once again, that's senior captain and offensive lineman Josh Berg.
Our offensive line they're huge. We're a little banged up even right now, so when we get fully healthy, you know, they're experienced, they're veterans, they're good, and we're going to run the rock.
Joining us now is co-offensive coordinator Aaron Willits. Thank you for joining us, Aaron.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself, where you're from, and how long have you been a member of the staff?
I've been here for going on 6 years. This is the start of my 6th season, and moved up from Illinois back as a young 25-year-old guy. I had coached at my alma mater, Knox College. I ran, as we get into it, the double slot, triple option offense. And I got out of there for a year and taught some high school in the Chicago suburbs, and very quickly learned that that was not what I wanted to be doing. And I happened to call up my old boss, who had spent a year at Morehead State and was on a Division III national committee with Coach Horan. And I just said, hey, I think I need to get back into college football. I need to be doing it all day, every day. And in doing that, the ball just started rolling, and Coach Horan and I were able to communicate with one another. And I came up here in June 2011, and Terry interviewed me along with the administration and offered me the job when I was up here, and I took that opportunity to move 10.5 hours away from all my family. My mom at that point in time was my main attachment, and she wasn't overly excited about a 10.5-hour move, but definitely it's worked out for me in a lot of different ways since moving up here.
And a co-offensive coordinator, what are your specialties, and what do you do with the offense that dictates, you know,
Yep.
being the co-offensive coordinator?
Absolutely, and I think that co-offensive coordinator is absolutely where we're at, and it's a lot of respect to Dale Hurdle. Prior to me being named co-offensive coordinator with Coach Hurdle, we had co-offensive coordinators with Dan Kosich, our line coach, and Dale Hurdle, especially Dale with being a lifelong Cobber. The guy's a Hall of Famer, played in a national championship game here, was over at Fargo South, and has been here almost 20 years underneath Jim and underneath Coach Horan. And for those two guys to have the respect and to see in me the value of holding up to the offense, for those guys to allow me to slide into that role has been huge. And I learn from them every day. And I think, you know, if we had Coach Hurdle up here too, he would say that, you know, I do our install, I run our game plan, and I'm doing our play calling. I think I like to think of it as me as the offense coordinator and Coach Hurdle as my coordinator. He's sort of my mentor, and he's always there for suggestions or if I have a question, and help him with structure and things like that. So it's been a really great transition for me as I become a coordinator to have a guy with that much experience. Him and Coach Kosich, and along with Coach Marshall, those guys having 30-plus years of experience, and I know that they have my back.
Pretty good. Now explain to us the double slot triple option. I don't know how many college offenses run it, but you guys tend to run it pretty well. Just explain to us what that offense is about.
Yeah, it's. I think it comes from some wing T principles, and we broke the bone from the wishbone, and we put those two guys as slot backs. And even for us these days, double slot may not necessarily mean that you're going to see two of them because we spend a lot of times in some multiple formations. But the double slot, the flex bone offense is a triple option attack, what you see on Saturdays with Army and Navy and Georgia Tech. And it's just designed to put offensive athletes in space and give them an opportunity to make the ball, and for defensive players to not just have to play a gap. They have to play a gap and they have to play an assignment, whether that be quarterback, fullback, and pitch. And it's on the idea that defensive players might be a little bit too aggressive or make a mistake, and we're going to be there to read that and put our quarterback in a scenario to distribute the football to the person who probably has the best opportunity to be successful on any given play.
You guys had quite a few long plays Saturday using that approach. So how do you feel coming out of a big game like that?
I feel really good coming out of Saturday with what we did. 2 weeks ago at Jamestown, they sort of got us out of our game plan a little bit, and we talked about what do we need to do to be successful this week. And we talked to our kids about, what our bread and butter is. And our bread and butter is our triple option. And we have a lot of different ways to block it up front. We have a lot of different ways to block it on the outside. It's a little more complex than what most people realize. And we wanted to get back to effectively using our offensive line calls. And when you have guys like Josh Berg and the rest of those guys up front, and John and Ethan, guys that have some starting experience and they understand what we're trying to accomplish, and you put that on the offensive line to make those calls, that led to some big plays for us. We used probably 7 or 8 different offensive line calls up front, and we used some different schemes on the outside to make guys play different positions as far as making inside backers, diving pitch reads, defensive ends, DBs as well. And it led to a lot of those big plays. That I watched earlier with Coach Horan, and that big gain by Dane Rehnquist right at the start of the second quarter, that was a change in O-line call. Berge actually came off and said, hey, I think we should maybe rep this call, and we repped that call, and it was one where we outside release our tackle, and the defensive end ran right with him. It makes it a very easy read for our quarterback, and in scoots Stain for a big gain, and that's all coming from our kids understanding what we're trying to accomplish with it.
How nice is it to have a senior leader like Josh on the offensive line to come to you and tell you when something is really working, and then to have the weapons in Montoya and Rehnquist to really get it done.
All those weapons, and it's huge having offensive linemen that really understand what we're trying to accomplish. And there's a sense of ownership with what we do, because I just call a simple play. I call, our 38 triple option, and then everything else is dictated by the kids. The perimeter block is what they think is going to get us, in the most successful scenario. The O-line call comes from our tackles, and is echoed down the line from our guards to our centers. To have guys that do have 3 years experience is big for us. But just the time that we put into install and really teaching foundationally what it takes to be successful, and we have some schemes and that we use to sort of make that understanding. You have to know the offense as a scheme, not just what I do on this play. And we really try to talk about how 11 guys on every play do make a difference. And you also see when you pull up that one run for Dane, you'll see Josh Berg, and I got to give him credit. I mean, he talked about his leadership by example. He's scooping on the backside. He actually cuts off the backside linebacker and a safety, and without 11 guys playing hard front side and backside, we don't have those big gains. And you'll see that a lot with some of the plays from this weekend.
It's funny you mentioned that, because last week when I was looking at the video, if I had multiple camera angles, I could have easily showed how he was clearing the way for Herzog on that big run against Jamestown. And then again, you mentioned him being involved in a couple of big runs here Saturday. So having guys like that that's wonderful to have those type of guys on your offense. Thank you very much, Aaron. I appreciate it, and good luck next week.
Absolutely, thanks, sir.
And joining us again is Coach Terry Horan. Coach, this is the start of the MIAC regular season here. You guys face Bethel Saturday. Tell us a little bit about the Royals.
Well, it really excites us to get into MIAC play, and our non-conference games, what we want out of those games is to prepare us for what we will see each and every week, and this is why we play. We play for the MIAC, and then it opens up with Bethel, which over the years has been just a huge game for us and for the Royals as well. And we've had some dandies, and last year's homecoming victory for us was a pretty sweet win, considering it had been about 6 years since we had beat those guys, and we had a bunch of heartbreaking losses to them too. And they're a perennial power, and so we know where we need to be at, that's for sure. And we need a great prep week to be ready for these guys.
Now, they're coming into this game 0-2, so they're going to be hungry, looking for a win, especially at home.
Yeah, no question about it. And two games they could easily be 2-0 at as well. They've changed their offense up a little bit. It's more of a kind of a hurry-up type of offense. Defensively, they look very similar to what they've been in the past. But they lost to Dubuque down in Dubuque in their opener and gave up 70 points. But Bethel had also scored 50-some points, and they had over 700 yards of total offense. So that makes any D coordinator a little uneasy. And then this past week, they lost a heartbreaker in overtime to Carthage, and Carthage is out of Kenosha, Wisconsin. So it was they had really two good non-conference games, and we know what we're going to get from Bethel. We know it's going to be a great crowd, and it's a natural grass playing surface, probably one of the better natural grass surfaces out there. And our kids, know exactly what level we need to be at when we play these guys, and it should be an exciting one.
And that's it from here. The Cobbers are on the road at Bethel, 1:05 kickoff. If you can't make it down to the game, be sure to join us on 970 WDAY AM for the call from Larry Knutson and Chris Ohm. This has been the Concordia College Football Show with Coach Terry Horan.